Hi, my name is Jen Lowe, and I'm going to be recording a 5-minute mini lecture on impairment and self-care. Impairment is defined as a significantly diminished capacity to perform professional functions. The ACA Code of Ethics in Section C asks that counselors monitor themselves for physical, mental, or emotional impairment, and if so, or if necessary, to limit, suspend, terminate their professional responsibilities. Again, later on in the ACA Code of Ethics in Section 5, when you first graduate, you're provisionally licensed, you're under your supervision, meeting with a supervisor regularly. Your supervisor will help you do this. They'll help you sort of monitor and ask and make sure, how are you feeling? How are things going? And they will encourage you to seek your own therapy and counseling if necessary. Now, just to let you know, your supervisor cannot be your counselor. So they would refer you and help you find someone. Let's talk a little bit about what this means. Physical, mental, and emotional impairment. I think a lot of times people think that this is really, really scary, right? That they're not going to be able to be a therapist or a counselor anymore, that they have to turn over their license. Notice it does not say that you can no longer ever be a counselor again. It doesn't say that you have to take a 5-year break, a 7-year break, an 8-year break. Impairment is going to happen to us all at some point in our careers, even if it's just temporary, right? A physical impairment could be something just struggling with, a physical illness, a mono, having to have a surgery and needing to take some time off, right? Mental health, emotional. Again, we are humans. We have human emotions and human problems, and we may at some point in our lives have a death in the family or a death of a friend or loved one. And we may temporarily need to limit, suspend, or terminate our responsibilities. Limit could just be a counselor who's going through a stressful period of life, has a kid with one of their own children, one of their own kids, has some physical conditions. They need to go to lots of physical therapy or occupational therapy or struggling in school, and they might limit the amount of hours that they work, right? Hey, I'd only like to work part-time during this season of my life. Um, they can even just take temporary times off if necessary, right? The only time that this is really, really scary is when counselors don't monitor themselves and they let it get out of hand. Uh, Small problems turn into giant problems, right? Self-care, the ACA Code of Ethics asks counselors to engage in self-care activities to maintain, promote their own emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual well-being to best meet their professional responsibilities. Our K-CREP standards for education here at the university. K-CREP asks us to teach you all in your master's programs about self-care, self-awareness, and self-evaluation strategies for ethical and effective practice. So I think you'll like your assignment for this week. We're going to have this as an assignment or break into some groups and talk about it, but we're going to talk about these 3 aspects of self-care: physical self-care, mental self-care, these are some examples, and work-related self-care. I'm assuming everyone knows what physical self-care is, right? Taking care of our bodies. Mental self-care, taking care of our brains and our emotions. Work-related self-care, I have some questions on the screen. So I'm going to ask you to each brainstorm 2 from each category that you like or that you would engage in. And then when I talked about how we need to work on self-evaluation strategies, how do you know when you are not at your best self? Work-related self-care, I'm gonna read a couple of these just because these are things you may not have thought about or talked about. These sort of go with boundaries between you and your future clients. How many hours do you wanna work? When do you want to work on notes? What days off do you wanna have? What time do you wanna work? How many evenings do you wanna work? And the last one, how do clients contact you outside of sessions if there's an emergency or they need to reschedule? I want you to have some self-care boundaries in place of how they contact you. Thank you so much. Stop recording.